Welcome to the Manufacturing Come Up. I'm your host, Malachi Greb, and CEO of Elite Automation. Today, we have a very special guest, somebody who just took the leap to start their own thing, Eddie Saunders. Welcome to the show, Eddie.
Hey, what's up, friends and fam?
How's it going?
Hey, it is well with my soul. It's a great day to have a great day. It's a little chilly here in Ohio, but that's quite all right because as a pure Ohioan, I love my seasons, man. So it's good to be here and chatting with you as well, my guy.
Yeah, I appreciate it. So you finally just took the leap, right, to start your own
Yo.
thing after many, many years in the industry. How long have you been in the industry?
I mean, some could argue since I was a kid, being, working alongside my father he's been running his plastics manufacturing facility, spent many summers working in there, kind of getting the under the table pay just so I can kind of get some high school work. And even through college as well, high school. And in addition to that, and my first big boy job was actually at an aluminum foundry. So with that, even though it's not been super, super extensive in a chunk, man, I've just been inundated in the manufacturing world since I was a kid.
Yeah, I think also getting that exposure at a young age, makes a huge impact on somebody's life.
Oh, for sure. And honestly, it's instilled a lot in me, specifically that old good fashioned Midwestern like work ethic, that everyone's kind of that brands, if you will. Because I've watched my father really start at a very entry level and now make a way to where he's running his facility. So it's provided a lot of good insight and then also good hands-on work to help me determine what I wanted to do with my future. Because I could have easily fallen in love with that specific type of work. And though I respect those who do it, I just understood that my path was a little bit different, but the experience gave me perspective for sure.
Yeah, I mean, because realistically, you spent a lot of your career more on the marketing side of things.
Of course, that's been the bulk of my experience for sure. And it's been awesome to be able to finally kind of cross that over. Did I ever think that I was going to end up really being as passionate about the manufacturing industry as I am now? No, I would have laughed in my early 20s if you told me like, oh yeah, you're going to light up manufacturing and just change industrial marketing. I'd have been like, you sound kind of crazy. Someone cut him off, right? But I wouldn't change anything. And I'm really proud, honestly, to know that I've got like my father and so many of my family members that are really, they're such hardworking individuals and they've set such a good example working directly within the manufacturing industry. And so I feel like it's a way of me taking my skill set and my passion and just applying it in a different way. I may not be manufacturing widgets or doing anything along those lines, but I genuinely feel like industrial marketers bring the same value that engineering, that finance, that all of these other individuals within the sector make as well, because it's an inclusive effort that also includes marketers.
Yep, absolutely. Do you feel like that some of your marketing experience came from a younger age, or was it something that was a little bit later in life?
So there's a short, funny story that my mom has told me, and this honestly, I feel like just determined my life path. I was that kid where back in the day, I would be playing with my toys, and as soon as the commercials would come on, I can't make this up, I would run into the room, I would watch the commercials. Supposedly, this is what my mother and my aunt swear to me, and to this day, now my early 30s, but the commercials would come on, and I'd watch them. I'd be fascinated. And as soon as they would turn off, I'd go run into my room and start playing with the toys. And that's when I knew I was supposed to be in marketing and advertising. But just nonetheless, I've always been fascinated with it. Even though that is a funny story, it's always been something I've been super passionate about. I wasn't one of those where I had to figure out what I wanted to do. I knew very early that I wanted to be in marketing. I've always just found it super interesting to study how humans make decisions. And then being just a natural empath, I'm just really drawn into why do they feel that way? What makes them think, feel, react, and do? And then the science around that. It's really intriguing to me.
Yeah, absolutely. Whenever did you get any exposure at all back whenever you was like a teenager and you was working with your dad at his facility?
It was great to be able to have kind of the more hands-on experience, not a lot of the marketing, if you will. There wasn't a lot of that tie-in. I just kind of organically tied that in over time. And so it's cool that I can make that connection. But
Yeah.
it was great because there were just a lot of options where I had the opportunity to go in and get my hands on parts and just do minimal cleaning. I was not doing anything unsafe or anything nuts by any means, not operating machinery, if you will, but being able to be exposed to how things are made instead of just consuming the products like we all do. Being able to kind of look behind the lens and just see, man, this is how these things are made. These pieces of plastic that I'm touching and that I'm processing are going to go in cars. And that to me just
Yeah.
something clicked. And then even when I went into castings, that's my first big boy job, working in the office of an aluminum foundry, like being able to watch the metal be poured and watch them pour it in sand, pull the mold off, and here comes a jet engine part. It was nuts, and I was hooked.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that's probably one of the things that intrigues me the most about the industry is just being involved in like a project or a process that goes on further into the building of a jet engine or a vehicle. Like there's some projects that I want to win just to say we did the thing that did that other thing. Like
Yeah.
one of the cool ones we did was for the Mustang GT 500 seats. So like that was a pretty cool one. I was like, I want that one. That's a super cool one. So now we can say all the Mustang GT 500s, we're involved in the seat framing of that.
Of course you can forever. And that's incredible, right? And you have your hands on that now, like literally and figuratively. And so I resonate with that pride. That's something super cool that you're going to take with you for the rest of your life, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Especially for like anybody who's like a Ford fan or a Mustang fan. Like I have a cousin who's like he loves the Mustang, so like
Yeah.
this is a cool experience for him too.
There you go. Super American thing to love. And I'm all about being American. So that's just a great thing. And I love how we as Americans take pride in our manufacturing because we know it is such a strong global force. And I genuinely take pride in it for sure. But I'm just a good old fashioned patriot.
So when do you feel like you started to really lace in and start to do marketing for manufacturing specifically?
Sure. So, what a lot of individuals either have come to find out or didn't even know is that the vast majority of my initial experience was in sales, right? And when I was selling, it was either in the manufacturing equipment or it was in selling marketing and advertising products, platforms, and services, right? So, once I started, a couple of years back working with the company Flex Machine Tools, I knew that at some point in my career, there was going to be an opportunity to pivot. I didn't know when, but I knew that I was going to be a dual threat. And I decided this in my late teens, early 20s, that I was going to be that dual threat. So whenever I had the opportunity to really make that pivot and I saw the crack in that door open, I was going to be able to jump headfirst with relevant knowledge and with a lot of steam behind me. And
Yeah,
so I had that. And it was cool to be able to have that opportunity at Flex Machine Tools. So I really respect and thank them so much for providing me the opportunity to shine my light, do some really cool things. And as predicted, as soon as I had the opportunity, didn't know if it was going to be 5, 10, 20 years, if you will. And so it just happened to be a decade into my career, which was perfect timing because I had a lot of great experience to bring to the table. And it was a great time to do that. And as soon as I saw that intersection, I said, cool, I know exactly what I'm doing. And I haven't looked back since. And now I'm quite literally doing what I would argue to be my dream job that I've made for myself. And it's no accident, but it absolutely didn't happen overnight.
right, absolutely. So you'd say majority of your career was actually more made up on the sales side of things versus marketing.
Sure. And with that, it was more consultative sales. And I've honestly consulted and sold about every type of advertising and marketing that you have been able to do
Mm.
within the last 10 years in all reality, from yellow pages and all the print marketing and billboards, all the way to some of the most complex SEO rich digital display CAD, SEM, SEO, over all those types of campaigns as well. And I even actually have my Google reseller certificate for life. I attended a 3-week
Mm.
program in Dallas, Texas, as part of one of my previous jobs, which was a Fortune 500 marketing agency. So, like, I have all of that relevant experience, even going from 30 to 50 person companies to startups to all the way to 11,000 person conglomerates. So,
Mm.
I just have this wealth of experience as soon as I decided to pivot, and I'm very thankful for that, for sure. But I'm also supremely thankful for the human beings that I've met along the process, you being one of them.
Oh, well, thank you very much, Eddie. Appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, it sounds like a lot of what kind of happened within your careers. Like you were selling a product. However, being that it was a marketing product, you was getting a ton of like education and exposure towards like marketing itself, and then also a lot of selling points, a lot of advantages of marketing, and
Mhm.
like you said, taking on educational courses that educates you on the product and the usability of it.
Mhm. You 100%. It was really, and it sounded like a crazy plan at first because I thought, Eddie, just choose one way. But I said, no, if I can be a dual threat, I know that I can get my sales chops going And as far as I'm concerned, I have a street PhD because I've got 10 plus years just in that specifically. And I've read over 50 books on sales, marketing, human development, and also human decision making. So it's one of those things where it came from that fascination when I was a kid. When I told you that I've just always found it super interesting why human beings make decisions. And sales is very much an influencer of human decision making. And marketing is the study and the facilitation of human decision making. So when it came down to both of those, I'm super appreciative and thankful that I stayed the course, because there were so many opportunities for me to look at shiny objects. But for anyone who's considering either making a pivot or whether you want to stay, making yourself a dual threat and educating yourself. Now, not everybody can just, have a passion. I'm not saying everyone needs to do it the way that I did it, but I can prove that even a dunce like me can still integrate that. And if I prove that if you are truly passionate about something like I was about marketing, it doesn't matter if you're stuck 10 years in a sales career. It doesn't matter what that means. You can pivot correctly if it's done strategically, because I did it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's super necessary too, that like you go and you do some type of job position, or even a different industry where you're gaining all these experiences from that type of job and that type of industry that you can then relate to this type of industry. If somebody was to say that they did marketing in the industrial industry for their entire career at this point, the problem with that is there's not a lot of marketing in our industry. Like, it's been something that hasn't really been around, and has really only picked up like the past like 5 years or so. It's always kind of been there, but I feel like even today, like one thing that I really like about marketing individuals from other industries is they have different thought processes. They're thinking about different things, and they're thinking about like, different KPIs and different metrics to like, measure, and also different tools, right? There's so many different ways of marketing, and like, especially for our industry, there's so many untapped potentials for marketing.
100%. And you said it so well. Like you said, KPIs. And what I need to do, I'm not going to yell it in the microphone for everybody, but in all reality, the system is broken. The industrial marketing KPI system, it is broken. I have seen it happen from startups, from 0 to 10 people, from 30 to 35 person companies. And I've seen it the most broken at a much larger global company. It's broken, period. And how do we fix that? We must open our minds up to what is new, what is modern, and what is innovative, and what's not being done as much. I'm not doing anything special. And you heard it here first. I'm not doing anything special. I'm doing things that are proven and work in every other stinking industry on the planet. It's no secret as well that manufacturing is. You're right. 5 or so years behind where a lot of the other areas are in marketing. That's why somebody like myself, who comes in with just a little bit of mindset and a whole lot of enthusiasm, can make a lot of good noise and have impact. And it baffles me how individuals ignore that. There's clear differences being made, but you're going to shackle yourself down to these standard practices and KPIs that you've done always, because that's just the way that you've always done it. And I don't understand why we optimize finance, why we optimize operations, and why we optimize all these other parts of our processes. But why aren't we optimizing our marketing and our brand and our demand generation? I'll never understand that. There's only one explanation, Malachi. The system's broken.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And I think also too, like a lot of the companies, going back to the KPIs things, they're just not measuring things appropriately. Like, let's say, for instance, for a company like ours where we're doing project-based work, you can look at your measurement of whether your marketing is working on a couple different things. You could either measure it on like the number of meetings that you're landing, or you could measure it against something like the number of purchase orders that you're getting, and what is the profitability on that purchase order that you won. If you look at the dollar per meeting, it doesn't make sense. It's like, okay, it's not profitable. There's no ROI there. But if you look at it as your return on a purchase order and your profitability of that purchase order, now the budget increases by tenfold to be able to acquire a customer.
No, I understand. And I'm going to challenge every industrial marketer listening to this, because we're all about, how many leads, give me all the SQLs, the MQLs, and all the acronyms you want to make up. But let me simplify it for you. In 2023, moving forward, given all the data and analytics that we have quite literally at our fingertips that are built into a lot of the platforms we use, why aren't we tracking pipeline creation? Why are we automatically assuming that leads produced is the automatic value of sales? Because you know what? I have specific factors that if you just want leads, okay, I can implement a program that gives you that specific number. But why are we focusing on just that point? Why are we not optimizing the entire part of the process and the customer journey? Because last time I checked, a prospect doesn't become a customer until they have made a purchasing decision in the form of yes. So if we're not focusing on what we can do to optimize that process, remove those bottlenecks, everything else is just a vanity metric. And I'm not saying leads is 100% a vanity metric, but why aren't we focusing on pipeline created? Because then when we look at that, we can also look at return on ad spend. That's a much better indicator on what you're doing across the board. And there's so many data points to interpret that, as opposed to just simply looking at the amount of leads produced. If I go to another company and they say I want more leads, I'm going to throw up on my keyboard, bro. We all do. Duh. We all want that. Duh.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I mean, I think like for us as a company, we look at all the different metrics as far as like the cost per meeting, the cost per lead, the cost per meeting, the cost per RFQ, the cost per purchase order. And so each one of them has its own number to it that we can then associate and say, okay, well, for this metric that we're trying to measure, what does this most likely fit with? And, because there's different things, whether we're running an ad campaign, so many different things that we're trying to measure, but we pull out the metric, the KPI that makes the most sense with whatever we're trying to measure at that moment. And like you said, you have to be able to look at the entire process as a full process and not just, one thing like more leads.
100%. And I get it. And let me not discount the fact that everybody wants more leads for the most part. That's cool. It goes without saying, but you mentioned, and it seems as if you are doing just the thing we mentioned, is optimizing your specific process, and you have multiple touch points. And that's even more detailed than a lot of other individuals even need to go in the first place. So kudos to you for obviously taking those additional steps and having true touch points, but also recognizing which KPIs are the most relevant in certain situations. You'd be so surprised at the amount of companies, entities, whatever it may be, that are focusing specifically on lead production across the board, regardless of the campaign, just straight lead production. And that is the sole thing that they're focused on. And it's crippling marketing teams. I'm watching individuals waste tens of hundreds of thousands of dollars on just misaligned processes, broken systems, and just genuflecting to the figures and KPIs that the person before them had to fulfill, because that's the way we've always done it.
Yeah, right.
It's gross, bro. It's gross.
Yeah, I think another big thing too that I expressed to our team is that it depends on the product you're selling. With us doing like project-based work and larger scale projects, the measurement for us is going to be completely different than somebody who's selling $1,000 product, right? Like the people you're selling to, the approval processes, the sales cycle, all those things are going to be so different. And because there's so many differences there, that also means like the value of our customer, the value of a single lead can be much more higher for a company like us than somebody who's selling a smaller end or lower end product.
All things you have to be aware of, but nonetheless, you are clearly aware of your specific processes. And the big flag to place in the statement, as I turn down the passion a little bit, is just challenging individuals to focus more on what really matters in marketing, as opposed to just these specific leads. Because once it becomes a lead per se, like, don't forget that sales has some accountability as well. And when they close that marketing qualified lead, who gets the commission? Because as a guy who's 10 years in sales, I don't ever remember writing a commission check to my marketing department.
That's something that we actually do differently.
Tell me about it. Unpack it. What's up?
We write commissions to the marketing team. So we track where the lead comes from. And then, from there, we initiate an incentive based on who was involved in the process. Marketing is a little bit harder because a lot of times it's not one direct person. There was somebody who did the copy, somebody who did the creative, somebody who came up with the idea. So it's a little bit more distributed versus like sales side. It's like, you directly got us this lead. You're the person that gets the bonus. But yeah, I think it's important because, they're involved in the process of bringing in new leads, bringing in qualified leads, and touching the right customers and the right leads we're looking for a certain product that we're trying to sell.
Cool. That's awesome. You need to talk more about that, because that is something that is not being done. Not that we need to create a bunch of entitled marketers, and that's a marketing advisor myself saying that. Definitely don't want to create a bunch of entitled marketers by any means, but that is really cool that you're able to do that. And I'm sure that obviously incentivizes them further to want to really track things. And also kudos. And one point I want to pull from that is that you have attribution in place, which that's another thing that really people need to focus more on, is having proper attribution so you know where these things are coming from and not just hearsay. Dark social is the thing. I get that. Dark social it's hard to measure, nearly impossible to do so. But the fact that people like you, Malachi, have that set in place, there's levels to this and you're on the next one.
Oh, thank you, man. I appreciate it, Eddie. So, where do you feel your career started converging more back into the manufacturing side of things?
Well, knowing that my first big boy job being at aluminum foundry, that was just cool. That was a great experience. And even though I kind of dove off specifically into marketing and advertising naturally, because that's what I wanted to do, and I have zero regrets, I will say getting back into it and then jumping, and when I joined the team at Flex Machine Tools, that was great. And even though I started as just their sales manager, it was wonderful to get my chops up, to be able to learn a lot of the industry lingo, especially machining. That was kind of the big thing that I needed to learn. And those 3.5 or so years there were fantastic and phenomenal. And it was a great runway for me to not only, again, make that pivot, but to just find my specific way and really go headfirst into something. And my career path there was very interesting. I had about 4 or 5 different positions, I think, specifically in that company. But I'm super thankful for it, because it was a way for me to take my very unique skill set and maximize it. And like Flex will always have a place in my heart for forever and always, for sure, because of all the opportunities that were provided to me to do the best that I could.
And so Flex was kind of where you re-entered the industry?
Yeah, essentially, that is for sure. That is objectively, that is when I kind of re-entered in after that span of years just in marketing and advertising.
Gotcha. Yeah, because I mean that's really where I started noticing you and seeing your content come alive.
Yeah, I mean, I actually, it's kind of funny. I had a link. I started it when I was like 21 years old. Never really took it seriously. So this is like over 10 years ago. And it wasn't until about the last 5 or so years where I started dabbling into it. And specifically when I got really big into the marketing side of Flex, I saw there to be a really good opportunity that wasn't being taken advantage of within manufacturing. And that's kind of humanizing brands. And we did just that. And it worked phenomenally. And they're still, even a year after me not being there, they're still enjoying some of the benefits of the work that we've done, and they're scaling it. I'm super happy for them. Not that they didn't need me by any means, because that's clear, but I'm just really happy that they're able to do some things and still be an example, and people still bring up the things that were done during my time there, which is really uplifting to know that it's stamped, right?
Yeah, right. Definitely. One of the cool things that I like that you guys did there was the different skits.
Those are so much fun. I can't believe that we were able to I do believe it, because there's clear videos out on the internet, but it's no joke. I can't make this up. I was meeting with a potential client yesterday, and they pulled up a video, one of those real funny videos that I did with Flex, and they brought it up in the meeting live. So that just continues to let you know that people do see these things, and whether you get a lot of comments or not, people are viewing these things. They're silent fans. They exist almost in abundance. And so I appreciate you bringing that up, because it was fun work. And I loved how it wasn't really as much about the products, but the fact that we could tie it in, and adding humor was just that little layer that allowed it to be more digestible. And it was so outside of the box, because nobody else was doing anything remotely close to that. And I would argue that in manufacturing, people are still afraid to do it.
Yeah,
and it just bugs me.
Yeah. No, I think it's something that is super impactful. So many people are not doing it. You can create this fun brand, especially like manufacturing, where it's like there's not any of that type of marketing going on. Like people could do stuff like that and really, really stand out. It's actually been one of the things that I wanted to do for our company ever since I've seen one of your videos that was, of those skit style videos. I was like, man, I want to do some of those, because I got like some pretty cool ideas where we can be the programmer, be a programmer on site. And, I've had some cool ideas. I thought I'll tell you this, like one skit that I had is where you have like this Billy Joe programmer guy, right? He's programming. And then, Elite Automation, one of our things is like, we want to be the best, right? Well, the programmer guy's not doing his job. basically a lead automation guy comes in, he rolls his seat out and basically takes over the job. He's like, basically, get out of here. We're here to do this thing, you know? But yeah, I thought it'd be really cool to do some skits like that. And there's fun.
Try one. That's the biggest thing. Like your first one may suck, and that's okay. But dude, at Flex, we did an Easter Bunny video, which was funny, had nothing to do with machines. But we tied it in, of course, because we were having a specific sale, this and that, and the Easter Bunny was hiding the products, yada yada. So if we can do stuff as silly as that, I would say try it, because the thing is that you never know when it's going to come up. And I can't believe people are bringing up those assets, but I'm also not surprised because those things are impactful. And when I talk about the ease of content being engaging, educating, and entertaining, some people are afraid to be entertaining because that requires you to be vulnerable. And maybe I just don't care enough about what other people think, but I also know all the feedback that I've continued to receive and the little victories that have been cashed in because of all of that. And I can say, because of the specific content that I made over the last 5 years, it has quite literally changed the trajectory of my life for the better. And that's just an accessory to that conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. And another thing is too, you mentioned a second ago, is you have like a hidden audience, right? And this is like one of the huge things that I think people should think about, because I think there's just regular individuals who put out content because they like to put out content, right? They're not even like a content creator. They just like to, talk about the industry, talk about things that are going on in the industry. And there may be some of those individuals that maybe they don't get a lot of likes, they don't get a lot of comments, but there may be a ton of people who are like watching that content and are very loyal, repetitive viewers of the content.
Exactly.
At these individuals like their newsletter or something like that.
Subject matter experts are a thing. They really are. And part of my demand gen playbook, that I run for my business is very much regarding like humanizing the brand. I won't give away the secret sauce by any means, but knowing that, and you saw a lot of what I did, we took industrial, like capital equipment machinery, 6-figure investment machinery, and we made it fun, we made it funny, and we slapped a human being next to it to talk about the products, and it worked really well. And I would argue that objectively and subjectively, it generated more attention for them than they had ever acquired ever. And even when I was launching a global product in my last position with them, I humanized the brand. And I would never try to insert myself into situations, but it's also, I've done this before. Don't ask me to dunk a basketball. Don't ask me to hit a hole in one. Don't ask me to French braid your hair. But you want to create some noise in manufacturing? I got you in spades, my guy.
Sorry. Yeah. So where have you been? Where have you been at like the past couple of years? What have you had going on in life?
I mean, I'm just raising 4 kids. And that's a huge thing to me. Just my family is a big. It's just the root of who I am. If you remove that from my situation, you remove a lot of who I am as a human being. And so focusing on that has been great for me, and building and developing these legacy type of items. I'm not just trying to make a bunch of content, just to elevate myself by any means. Part of what I do is because I really do want my kids to look back and them to think, man, dad did everything he wanted to do. He had a freaking good time doing it. And he was respectful and he was classy the entire time. And he made a lot of people smile. And so I've been focusing on a lot of legacy things lately. As I've finished out my 20s and I'm now well into my 30s, this next decade of my life, I've been grinding in my 20s, and now I want to be able to build in my 30s and hopefully by my 40s, not trying to chill, but I can then more manage and coast and pivot as I need to. So last 5 years, it's been really changing. It's been me taking that career pivot, which has been big, running in that specific direction, leading to now being self-employed and really enjoying the story. But above all things, just trying to be the best husband and the best father and the best friend that I can be, because that's really at the end of the day what matters the most in my eyes. Everything else, whether it comes to money, this and that, whatever, all that comes in result of me being a good father, a good husband, and a good friend.
Yeah. One thing I'd like to really, really point out with you, and you probably have this characteristic more than majority of the people in the industry, but it's just like your personability. You have just a way of being able to communicate with people, and I want to point this out to everybody that's watching this, that this is like a great characteristic to have. Just to be a kind person, be just a good, genuine person. Um, this that I don't say a skill set, but just that characteristic is something that takes you a long, long way throughout your career and your life's journey, and um, it'll put you in a lot of positions that will just come to you and present themselves to you. And it's just kind of just because you're doing the right thing and being a good person.
Well, I really appreciate you saying that, because I by no means want anyone to think that I'm just talking the talk. I genuinely walk the walk, and I don't promote this whole empathy situation just for my benefit and for my gain. Like, it's something that I
Right.
believe in, and it's rooted in my fascination for why human beings make decisions. And I said that's been a thing since I was a kid. I've just
Hmm.
synthesized that into productivity, right? And I've made horrible decisions. Like, I was selfish in my early 20s, truly. So I'm not sitting there and trying to act like that person who shows up to church on Sunday and is super perfect. But then, Monday through Saturday, I'm an absolute hellion.
Hmm.
I'm a hellion sometimes. Don't get me wrong. But and I don't want anybody to think that again, like there's just this some aura persona. I mean, I have struggles just like anybody else does. I have things that bug me just like anybody else does. I have little spats of my wife just like anybody else does, in a sense. But how I synthesize that and what I choose to make the most important to me, I think does help define that. Because that's something I've always tried to keep myself honest is like, Eddie, do you believe in what you're saying? Or are you like a lot of these other people out here who will remain unnamed, who are just talking the talk?
Hmm.
So all that to say, thank you very much for saying that. You didn't have to. That's super kind of you. And though no human being really likes to seek super affirmation too much, it's always a sweet pill to swallow.
Do you think that, or what do you think has transitioned you to be even more of a kinder person?
Um, Having 4 kids that are completely different, and me, I think with age as well, just recognizing that if I'm gonna truly be the empath that I know that I need to be, that
Hmm.
I need to make sure that I'm focusing on other. And so having 4 kids really, that and just so much, or so many conversations, I should say, like so much interaction with other individuals. I'm just a social butterfly by nature. And so it's provided me an advantage to just gain so much perspective. That in tandem with all of the books that I've read and all the podcasts and audio, whatever, all that content that I've digested. When you subject yourself to so much of that,
Yep.
you're either going to embrace it fully or you're going to reject it immediately. And I just have embraced it. And I found those little things in life. And as far as I'm concerned, I'm the most blessed dude that I know. Like, and I may be a little biased, but like having my children and shifting my mindset to being grateful, because I definitely come from a place where I didn't have a lot, and I had,
Mhm.
just like we all do, and then no one's situation is worse than others, but because I know trauma is subjective, but I had a lot of cards stacked against me, specifically in my early 20s, and made some selfish decisions. But being able to emerge through that and to still maintain some positivity and be able to see that there are 2 sides of the coin, and recognizing that sometimes situations suck, but also it's not what happens to us, it's what happens for us. That mindset shift has been huge for me, man. It's been monumental in my life.
Yeah, I think one other thing that's helped, or one thing that's helped me with like my mind shifts is consuming of contents, consuming of like audio books, especially like human nature type of things. I don't know if it's like something for me that like, how do I put it? Like I'm a kind person at heart. Like I have a lot of philosophies that are like doing the right thing is always the right thing. The truth always wins. Like these are some of the like mottos that I live by. Um, However, like one thing that I struggle with as a human is just conveying those things, like publicly conveying and displaying those things. Like I might have a lot of emotion towards somebody, but then sometimes not have the best or not do the best job at conveying that to that person.
Sure. Which is understandable. It's like, but you recognizing that is obviously a superpower, because seeing and being transparent with yourself, I think, helps a lot. And but the thing is that you in recognizing that, you know, that you're able to do something about it, it doesn't make you a worse or better person for just not being able to essentially express it. And that's one thing I try to take pressure away, is like, I don't walk around every day trying to help old ladies walk across the street, you know, like, you know, like I'm not walking around just washing people's car for free. Like, I'm not this incredible philosopher, you know, amazing human being. Like, I genuinely have great intentions, just like so many others. And I'm not trying to do anything to pump up myself. I just want to be a solid reminder that we can turn the mirror around and be like, hey, you have all of these qualities too. You just need a reminder, is all that it is. And sometimes just someone saying to you, hey, go make somebody's day today. Just go give it a shot. Make one person's day today. You know, it's going to make you feel better. Sometimes just hearing that helps. And it's another reason why I don't watch the news, because we all know what they're, and I'm not trying to avoid the doom and gloom. I understand that. But I'm not subjecting myself to that type of content. My wife, she likes to read the murder stories and all the this and that happened, like all the horrible things. And again, I'm not trying to ignore it, but I just don't want to. I don't want that to be the food that I eat, because I treat my mind like I do my body, and my perspective like my body. If I put junk in, I'm going to get junk out. Now, I like a cheeseburger every once in a while, and I like a good stupid meme every once in a while. You know, I get it. I'm human, but I think making sure that we reverse engineering with intention when it comes to empathy it's natural for a lot more people. It's just, can you act upon it, right? And do you even need to in the first place, right?
Right. Have you ever heard of valuetainment?
No, it sounds super awesome. You're about to unpack that for me.
Yeah. So I mean, it's originally when I found them, like some 10 years ago or whatever, they did a lot on business content. Now they've kind of changed their like content strategy. They do a lot of like news updates and stuff like that. So it's a YouTube channel, Valuetainment.
Nice.
But I went to one of their conferences and whatnot. It was actually going to one of their conferences is part of what gave me like the confidence to start my own company. I realized I went to one of their conferences. I invited some of the senior management of the company I was working for to go. All of them declined to go, and I even offered to pay. And so whenever they declined that, I was like, huh, okay. So I'm evidently willing to do something different that other people aren't willing to do. I'm willing to take a vacation time of my own to go do this educational seminar. But so that's another thing. But going back to it, is they just offer like a lot of good content that is more of a statistical thing, right? It's not so much on the drama and the just inflating things. It's just like more pure data.
Well, like to your show's theme and talking about, you know, the come up, if you will, one thing I think that has fueled that is your raw intention to want to grow, to want to do something better. And even if it was on your own time, and I resonate with that statement. And it's because you betting on yourself and investing in yourself has landed you by consequence and by virtue and by nature in the position in which you are in now, which is, I would like to assume, a much better position than you were before, because you invested within yourself. And it's something to that point that I've done extensively as well. And I've taken those risks, and I know it's scary and it's hard sometimes, but even as you can attest personally, it can lead you into wonderful places. I mean, obviously love the one you're with, and you'll be where you are and be focused and have head down, if you will. But at the end of the day, knowing that you can invest in yourself and you can trust in yourself, and not that it's all cushy and rainbows and butterflies and unicorns, but the intention there, man, you've nailed it. Happy for you.
Yeah, thank you. And one of the things that you mentioned earlier on is like how many like audio books and books that you read and listened to. You know, I can't express how much of an impact that has on somebody's life as far as, you know, just their progression towards anything, right? Like whether it be happiness, business, marketing, anything that, you know, these influences and these insights. I mean, I have like in my Audible, I have probably over 120 titles or 120 books in my arsenal there. And out of those 120 books, I've probably listened to every single one of them 10 times at least.
Wow, nice.
Yeah, just, you know, and it's pure just like brainwashing myself with this content. And you know, I have everything from, you know, sales, marketing, human behavior, even just stuff like kindness and happiness. Like, you know, some more of those some books that are just about life, you know, and like how to be a better parent, just like listening to other people's philosophies on things and just taking their nuggets away on you know what their thought process is on different topics.
I love it. I love it, man. It's clearly a strategy, and I need to get back into it because it's something that I hit hard for quite some time, and it was great. And I'll say working from home has spoiled that. It took my commute away, right? And
Yeah.
so, but knowing that it is, and I couldn't, I couldn't support that comment that you had made further about just the value that audiobooks can bring. And for someone who believes in that so much, I'm just going to keep myself honest. Need to jump back in for sure. So thanks for the nudge, man. Whether you meant it or not.
Thank you. What are some other things that you feel like have made a pretty big impact on your career success?
The people that I have surrounded myself with, 100%. Network has been my net worth, almost literally and figuratively. It's really been crazy, and I even said this in some prior interviews. Like when I'm asked what my favorite part about this industry is, as much as all the things that are made and the processes and everything, raw materials, cutting it down, like that's great, but it's the people. It really is the people. And I just happen to be surrounded by incredible human beings, and so I don't know whether it's again by just by accident the universe has led me this way, but I'd like to believe that my mantra of being intentionally just a good human or trying your best as you can has attracted those people and deterred the opposite. And so I've just by nature attracted to these awesome humans that have led me on some amazing journeys, have provided me incredible opportunities, and have helped me craft wonderful lifelong friendships, along with memories just as a cherry on top. So that has been almost hands down what has happened. Because if I even think about my career progression, not just within manufacturing, but just in general, it has been because of it's been a direct result of me being kind and empathetic to other human beings. It's kind of ironic, but it's also not. So be a good human. It can do things for you. I promise.
Yeah. So I mean, whenever you say like people, right? Like,
Mhm.
is it just different aspects as far as like you mentioned, like, whenever you were mentioning off different things, like I was trying to analyze and like see what are like the things that were uh, the like logical, like tangible impacts that were given to you, right? And so like a couple of things that I heard there were um, that people were transferring skills to you, people were giving you opportunities. Can you elaborate on some of this like just a little bit more?
Oh, for sure. Go seek mentors, 100%. Like just synthesizing it like to an actionable item for anybody
Sure.
listening. Go seek mentorship from individuals. You may think these individuals are too big for you, they'll never talk to you. You would be surprised at the type of mentors that you can secure by just simply asking. Now, I'm not saying go hit up all the people that you think are in a position where that you want to be, but if you are if you resonate with a specific human being or entities, whatever it may be, go DM somebody. It's 2023. You can contact people in 17 different ways, just with by your phone. So
Right.
please go connect with other humans. If individuals are doing things that you find intriguing and that you like, or that you most importantly want to replicate, or you want to be in their position one day, maybe just literally or even figuratively, reach out to them, learn what they did, learn the mistakes that they made. Because what I'll tell anybody who's afraid, like, oh, well, what if they reject me? Cool. You don't want them to be your mentor in the first place. And
Right.
mentorship doesn't mean you have to just hold these people down and it's not a big brother, big sister program by any means, but wanting to genuinely learn from other individuals. We as human beings like to feel intelligent and important and valued. I mean, it's the reason why we get married. You know what I'm saying? For lack of a better term. I mean, there's lots of other reasons, but it's like that's why we seek connections with other humans to feel valued and all those things. So why not apply that basic human principle to getting transferable skills from these subject matter experts that are in a position that you want to end up in? I have saved myself probably years of incorrect implementation and execution by simply consulting with those who have been there and paved the way for me. And it's paid me. I mean, I would argue that's paid me dividends in the form of time saved from making bad decisions that other people have already made and care enough to try to help a silly dunce like me avoid from making them like they did.
And it's like, say for instance, like somebody is looking for mentorship, like, you know, how do they go after that, or what level of like mentorship do you think they should look for?
Sure. So I leveraged this model, told my cousin to utilize this as he was graduating college. He wanted to like produce some music, and he knew kind of who he wanted to talk to. And so I had told him, you could even be as bold as a strategy where you just have a template message that says, hey, I am so-and-so. I'm a student from here. I'm studying this. I saw what you did and I find it super interesting. I would love to be able to pick your brain or to learn more about what you did. And you can even ask, looking for mentors, if you will. Sometimes depending on your field, you don't have to essentially go right for that. But saying, hey, here's who I am. I'm interested in this. I've seen what you've done. I would love to learn more. Not trying to sell you anything. I'm just really into what it is that you're doing. If you have, not word for word, but if you have that message. So what he did is he took that message, spread it across the individuals that he wanted to talk to, got some minimal response, got ignored, got a negative feedback on one specific level, wasn't talking to that person anyway. But the individual who responded to that, it became a multi-year relationship where he gained relevant experience from that individual, ended up moving out of state, and it became a lucrative opportunity for him, all because he went and sought after some mentorship from somebody because he wanted to learn. You'll connect with the right human beings. And I believe the best mentors are open-minded to that. And if they're not, that's okay. Timing is everything. But just seeking it and wanting it and literally reaching out, whether it's on LinkedIn or DMing them across a variety of platforms, it's a great opportunity for you to network yourself and be able to pull those skills that are going to come from those conversations.
Yeah, this is actually something that literally just popped in my mind. But, like with the manufacturing come up and being able to facilitate like people's experiences in a way, like this particular podcast is a way of mentorship, right? Like to gain people's experience of the industry and their different career paths and what their strategy and their experiences were throughout their careers. It really helps give people like an insight to what it is that other people have experienced in life.
For sure. That's what I miss about, doing my old podcast is we didn't talk about our products at all. It was an agnostic, a show for that point, but loved hearing about individuals from across the industry and all of their experiences and what they liked and learning something about them that they wouldn't post on LinkedIn, getting to know the humans behind it. So yeah, I definitely understand and definitely applaud you for that specifically, because it's a great exchange of value in the form of these conversations. And I love it and I support it wholeheartedly.
Thank you. So what do you have going on right now, right? You just took the leap.
Mm-hmm.
I want to know what it is that finally gave you the confidence or gave you the ability to take this leap.
Well, a lot of the things that I was complaining about earlier in our conversation about all these broken systems and processes, broken KPIs, it was hard to sit there and continue to watch. And I've developed some awesome relationships with those incredible human beings. And so after just months and months of planning and taking the time, but primarily just letting it kind of go on autopilot and allowing the universe to tell me the correct time. Not that I was waiting for the right signal, but I just knew that the universe was going to put me in the right position. And if that was meant to be my journey or my path at that time, it was going to be clearly revealed to me. And after a couple of circumstances, it just made it very clear to me, this is what I need to do. And this is years, obviously. And a lot of individuals don't know, but I had done some side consulting earlier in my career, and I was able to really do a lot of cool things with that. And the only reason I left doing that is because I had a great opportunity to work at a startup. Now, having worked at startups to growing companies at small to medium size, as well as large corporate conglomerates, I bring 13 years of experience to the game. And though a lot of individuals at my age would be seeking, and with my experience, looking for VP and big director roles, I thought there's so much more value that I could provide. And instead of just working solely for one individual, I'd like to pick the individuals who really want help, need help, and are seeking that opportunity to make good noise. And so that allowed me to branch off and to create, Speak Friend, which is something I'm super proud of. And at the end of the day, it's nice because I get to connect with manufacturing clients to help them develop demand generation tactics and also a content development and scalable strategy. It's really exciting, and I've got a lot of great feedback to it. And without any arm twisting or any pitch by any means, it's just I'm super lucky to be able to take these out of the box and unorthodox ways of thinking and things that I applied that clearly worked at other companies, and now providing that playbook to individuals who really could use it the most. And it's what better time to be able to do it when we have so much momentum going in the industrial marketing world.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you think that was this something that you've had in your mind for some period of time?
Doing the consulting in my earlier 20s as a part-time basis was fascinating to me, and I loved it, hated that I had to stop it. And even though I've been playing this for some time, like this, the excitement for wanting to do that, I've always had that entrepreneurial spirit in my blood. Just with my father and a lot of the endeavors that he has taken place in over his life, and a lot of my career earlier was spent really consulting and working with strictly small to medium sized business owners from a consultative nature. So I've done this before. I just was a W-2 employee. Now I've got, again, 13 years of
Yeah.
experience, cross-platform, cross-functional, and cross-industry experience. And with all the certifications and educational points that I have, I mean, I've got a street PhD in what it is that I do. And I can confidently say that there's nobody else in the industrial marketing world that's doing quite what I do, quite like how I'm doing it. And that's what makes a difference. And now I'm just excited to bring that to individuals so they can break those shackles and release themselves of the chains of what leadership thinks is good industrial marketing.
So as of right now, what is your ideal target customer?
I mean, right now it's nice because I love working specifically with industrial, just with manufacturers. So whether it's robotics, technology, or whether it's just making raw materials, all across the board. But individuals who are either in need of someone to really direct and help their marketing go from 0 to 1, or there are some individuals who kind of have a good foundation where they're going from 0.5 to 1. If you will. And so laying out the good foundation, generally auditing what it is that they're doing, looking over cost, and really serving as that marketing leader that they need, but in some cases maybe can't afford, or it's not as cost efficient for them to have somebody on full time. You don't have to pay, fractional advisors any type of a general overhead. There's just your specific engagement that you commit to. And then aside from that, there's lots of cost savings that can come from that specific model for the end user. So it's what I like to really view as a win-win for everybody.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just like for some insight from like me as a company or for myself and our company, like this is something that I think about with like the outsourcing of marketing. Like as of right now, we're not outsourcing anything, but you know, I I think about things like, let's say, PR management, or I think about certain objectives, right? Like let's say, for instance, like I want to get myself on more speaking engagements, or a podcast, different things like that, right?
Mhm.
Something like that may be it may be better that you outsource something like that, because somebody has that industry experience. Maybe they're already doing it for other clients, so they already have
Mhm.
all the proper contacts. It's just a
Yep.
matter of you pay the amount, they press send on all the things that they're already doing because they have the processes in place.
Mhm.
And I think this is like something like that you offer, maybe not necessarily PR management itself, but just the things that you're offering are a full like gamut of things that you've had exposure to your entire career and have built processes around it,
Mhm.
and are able to offer that value.
Yeah, he's just bringing on a 13-year battle tested, proven marketing adventure that puts out good stuff. And you don't have to near the cost of having a full-time employee, but you have me in your back pocket as much as you need and not more than what you want. You don't have to create a desk for me. You don't have to have a parking spot for me. You don't have to buy an extra pizza for me at your company pizza party. If you want to invite me, cool, I'll eat some pizza. But it's a great model. And if COVID taught us anything, it's that we can operate from a remote basis. So even though that I have
Right.
clients that I can go physically visit, it's wonderful to be an extension of their specific team and to have that trust. And the accountability is still there, so you don't have to worry about it. And at the end of the day, we all get to choose who we work with. So even though I'm not going for 100 client portfolio by any means, I get to focus specifically on 4 to 5 clients and really help them to the extent in which they need, knowing they all have different needs per se. I've got one client
Mhm.
where there's maybe 5 or less employees. Another one is a global company. They both leverage the same human being, but with my variety of skill sets that I bring to the table, I can add value. There's few places that I can't add value in all reality. And so
Mhm.
I take a lot of pride in that, but I also know that that is the business model by nature and not by accident.
Right. Is there any particular things that you feel like are the core strengths or the core things that you uh, would like to advise on?
Sure. I mean, and I say this and with all humility, but also with objective data, no one in this industry is doing demand generation and content strategy like me, period. Just from an objective view, I know what's out there. I know what people are doing. I'm seeing it. You know, you've got titans of CNC and individuals and those creators who are doing great content, right? They're doing great stuff for that specific entity. But when it comes to other manufacturers who are selling these things like they are, is just they're not doing it. They think that they're doing it correct with trade shows and the way that they've always done it. But a true demand generation and content strategy plan with the right individual, you can make a lot of great noise and stand out in a lot of strategic ways, while others are just kind of sitting on their hands and doing the same thing. So demand generation, content strategy are going to be the big things, as well as just providing overall vision casting for what it is that you need to be doing and you need to stop doing. So being experienced and kind of auditing current programs, current costs, and saying, hey, here's where we should be shifting. Here's where we should be staying, holding, removing, yada, yada. So lots of value there. But I will say again, with that demand generation and content strategy focus, that's where I'm going to really, really outshine a lot of the other individuals in the market.
Awesome. Awesome. I think you're going to make a huge impact in the industry. And I definitely want to say congratulations for you making this leap, taking this leap and going on to the next journey of your career.
Yeah, thanks a lot. My wife was pretty nervous, you know, as you know, natural to her, but knowing that I've got a lot of really great support. And I'm really the most blessed dude that I know. And again, I may be biased, but I genuinely feel that, because gratitude is my attitude. And though I'm an optimistic realist, I'm still very much both.
So this may be a little bit too early to ask this question, but do you have any plan to scale your operation, or are you thinking about just doing individual consulting, or what are some of your plans for the future?
So I'm diversifying a little bit, obviously, with my partnership with MTD CNC being one of their, very esteemed, and I'm proud to be one of their US presenters. That's great. I think right now, so I can ensure that I'm still providing value to my clients, I want to keep it very segmented right now. I want to make sure that what I'm doing, because I got to where I wanted to be a lot faster than what a lot of individuals get, and a lot faster than what I originally intended. That's completely okay. And as much as I'd love to scale, I actually, without giving away too much, I have a lot of opportunity with things that I'm working on currently that could become much bigger than I ever truly intended. So I'm doing what I always say I'm going to do. I'm going to be a good human, and I'm going to do the things that I said I'm going to do, and I'm going to provide value. And then whatever greatness comes from that will not be by accident. And I'll definitely be ready for that. So for time being, love where it's at. It's really awesome, and I'm super thankful for it, but always open-minded to how I can take this to the next level and make it a real adventure.
Awesome. Eddie, well, thank you very much. Congratulations again for making this leap in your career. Hopefully this is like an inspiration to people watching this podcast, and maybe the next person will take their leap today because of being able to watch this episode and watch you through your journey.
Oh, I really appreciate it. Like, thank you so much for allowing me to be a weirdo on your show and tell my story. And I'm always open to connect with anybody and help them just as much as everyone has helped me. Thank you again, Eddie. Where can people find you at? Find me up on LinkedIn, Eddie Saunders Jr. I'm across the socials as well as Facebook and Instagram. But lastly, if you want to check out my site, it's www.speak-friendly.com. Check it out at speak-friendly.com. Awesome. Thank you, Eddie.